And now it's time for RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester.
Hey, everybody. Another hour of RoadWorthy Drive. We're here in studio with the usual suspects. Jack at the controls.
Hello.
Sasha handling social media, and yours truly at the mic. In breaking news for this hour, EPA changes their fuel economy calculations. We'll look into that. And plus, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety has strengthened its requirements for its top award. We're going to talk about that and why that's important for you, particularly if you're in the market for a 2018 vehicle, and why you might want to consider a vehicle that has made their top rating. Only 15 vehicles made their top rating for 2018 with their changes. Now, in our regular topics later in the hour, I'm going to talk about Made in America. Several companies, several automakers have made recent announcements to large-scale investments in American plants. Folks, that means jobs, and you know how we feel about Made in America right here when we can. And then, in the second topic, look, Ma, no hands. A major automaker is going all in with autonomy, no steering wheel, no brakes, no gas pedal. We'll tell you who, we'll tell you when. And then finally, we've talked a lot about electric vehicles. But what we haven't talked about, electric vehicle versus a gasoline vehicle. Is there a cost benefit? Is it all smoke and mirrors? We're going to look into that too, and I'm going to give you some evidence that may change your mind. All that and more right here, a RoadWorthy Drive behind the scenes, and we're so glad you could be with us. Jack, we're on for 11 minutes?
We're on for 11 minutes.
All right, brother, when you're ready.
Do you want to go faster? Yeah!
It's time for RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester. Ken is a nationally syndicated automotive journalist and photographer who has been in and around the industry for over 30 years. So tune in for your fill of automotive information and entertainment with your automotive ringmaster, Ken Chester.
This is indeed RoadWorthy Drive. Welcome. I'm your host and automotive tour guide, Ken Chester. During this hour, as always, we have plenty to discuss and news to digest. But before we get to it, in breaking news, the EPA recalculates fuel economy numbers for 2017, and the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety has upped the bar for its top safety award. We're going to get to these in a few minutes. There's some Made in America news that I want to share during the second segment. While General Motors has, and get this, officially asked the U.S. Department of Transportation to ditch manual controls in its vehicles. Yep. Finally, there's a survey that compares the cost-benefit of an electric vehicle versus a traditional gasoline-powered one. All that and comments from the in-studio peanut gallery right here on RoadWorthy Drive. Oh, yeah, I called you all peanut gallery. I sure did. If you want to add your voice to the topics at hand, call or text me via the RoadWorthy Drive line. That number, 872-222-9793. If email is your preference, my address is ken@roadworthydrive.com. As always, I look forward to hearing from you. Now, RoadWorthy Drive is a team effort that requires a dedicated team of people to make sure all is well in studio each and every week, despite what you hear sometimes. The adult at the controls is always, as always, is a radio professional extraordinaire. My friend and RoadWorthy Drive executive producer, Jack DeLeon. Hey, Jack.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you on this fine day?
I am fine. Radio extraordinaire, though.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the comment. However, after the comment about the peanut gallery, we may just shut your mic off.
Where's the love, bro?
And Sasha and I will take over the show like we did a few months ago.
Yeah, but I wasn't here then.
No, you were not here. Now, sir.
Yes, sir.
In reading my notes for this week,
Mm-hmm.
The EPA changed their fuel economy methodology?
Yeah, that happens.
Okay.
It's the second time in about 10 years they've done it.
Okay, so for those of us who are out here in the cheap seats who don't really know what the methodology is,
okay,
what are we talking about?
All right, let's back up. There's such a thing called the corporate average fuel economy standards.
Correct. We've talked about that a lot.
There's
here.
also, when you look at a sticker on a car, you see a number for city driving, miles per gallon, highway driving, miles per gallon.
Yep.
What we're talking about in this example is how the EPA calculates your city number, and your highway number.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to get into the actual methodology, but some of the things that they look at when they're wanting to make a change is they look at vehicle technology, driver behavior, and or changing driving conditions. They used as a benchmark for these changes vehicles that were built from 2011 to 2016 model years.
Okay.
And then they made their changes. Now, here's the thing. In most cases, they didn't change. But they feel that how they arrived at these numbers better reflect today's vehicle fleet, since vehicles are more fuel efficient and there's additional advanced technologies. There's hybrids, there's electrics, there are vehicles, there's a wider use of turbocharging, and in some cases, supercharging.
Now, here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of these changes raise the corporate fuel economy?
None of them raised.
So did they all lower then?
Well, you know, I got to wondering about that. So I went to their site and I took 3 examples because I wanted to see what the difference was. Here's an example. 2016 Ford Fusion.
Okay.
The original fuel economy numbers, this is their 4-cylinder 6-speed automatic.
Okay.
In other words, one they built a lot of.
Yeah.
All right. On regular unleaded gasoline, the old numbers, 22 city, 34 highway.
Good numbers.
Under the new numbers,
Yep.
22 city, no change.
Okay.
33 highway.
Up a
Change of
mile.
1. Yeah. It did not change their combined city and highway number, which to me, I think that's a bogus number. I don't like the combined number. I like to see the city and the highway. Now, I took another vehicle, Nissan Rogue all-wheel drive. And the Nissan Rogue is a popular, small, compact crossover. The original was 25 miles to the gallon and 32 on the highway.
Okay.
The revision, 25 miles in city, 31 in the highway. So it lost a mile per gallon. And as a result, their combined number also dropped by 1 mile a gallon.
Okay.
So not a lot.
So basically, we're hitting right about even or so.
Yeah. Now here's one more. Got real curious.
Okay.
So I took a look at a 2016 Ram 1500 all-wheel drive with the V8 and the 5.7 liter V8,
Right.
and a 6-speed automatic, which is a volume vehicle for them. The original was 13 city, 19 highway. Revised, 13 city, 19 highway.
Didn't change.
Didn't change. And they said that a lot of vehicles would not change. So that's not unusual. And I just took 3. I took a car, I took a crossover,
You took a
and I
truck.
took a truck because I really wanted to know when they said that most wouldn't see changes and some would only be 1 to 2 miles a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
So in that fact, that's exactly what happened.
Well, and I think one of the other things to look at, I think you said it best. What changes the fuel economy, I think, are the 2 things you mentioned: road conditions, what's the weather outside, and how you drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of us have a lead foot, some of us don't.
What?
Lead foot. Oh my
That's-
goodness, that's not a thing.
I do not have a lead foot.
Okay. Well, let me speaking of safety.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety does a lot of work with crash testing vehicles and setting standards.
And a lot of good work, let's add to that.
Yeah, well, of course. And we talk a lot about it here.
Right.
I get a monthly newsletter from them, and it's chock full of good information. This past month, no exception. They talked about their awards. Now, in case you didn't know, they've got two awards when they're evaluating vehicles. It's called Top Safety Pick Plus and Top Safety Pick. And these are vehicles that are going to perform in an accident situation above average. In other words, if you're looking for a safe vehicle, you'd want to look at vehicles on one of these 2 lists. Now, I will go as far as to say that the Safety Pick Plus actually came out, and I want to see it because I had it before, because that came out, I want to say in 2013.
2013.
Is when Safety Pick Plus came out. So the top Safety Pick was their biggest one for a long time. Then they went a little higher to reflect the improving safety features of vehicles.
Right.
Now, they just tightened up Top Safety Pick Plus even more to include passenger side crash tests
Okay.
and how they do,
All right.
the offset front crash tests,
Mhm.
and the quality of the headlights, believe it or not.
Okay, that's the one that threw me.
Mhm.
What are they looking for in headlights?
Distance,
Okay,
brightness,
right.
and to be able to see. Kind of common sense stuff.
Do they also counter against the fact that it blinds the oncoming traffic on a 2-lane road?
You remember when the blue lights came out?
Oh.
And you know what that did to me? Turned my stomach.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, people. What you're talking about is high-intensity discharge headlights or xenon headlights.
Yep.
We've now gone to LED headlights, which are brighter, actually. But it got to an issue of aim, distance, being able to see a object at so many feet low beam as opposed to high beam.
Right.
And the adjustment. Remember, we've had, up till the late 70s, we used to have seal beam headlights.
Correct.
Everybody had them.
Right.
The government relaxed the laws, which allowed the automakers to do some styling. In their styling headlights, they weren't nearly as good as they used to be. And as a result,
are we talking the round ones versus the square ones?
no, we're past that point. Where now you've got vehicles. If you go out there, the lenses are all different types of lenses now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That affects distance. That affects lumens.
Correct.
That affects all that stuff. And the IIHS is saying, hey, we want to judge this stuff because people need to see at night.
Yeah, I like the ones where the actual headlight goes like it's encompassing around the sides, because that way when my headlights actually go on, the light is actually broadcast in a much wider V from both angles.
Correct.
Especially when you're going down the 2-lane highways. That way you're able to see somewhat in the ditches as opposed to just straight ahead of the car.
I will say it this way. I want to be able to see at night. 15 vehicles made Top Safety Pick Plus. They were Kias, Subarus, Toyota, BMW, Genesis, 1 Lincoln, Mercedes, and Hyundai. And I'm sorry, 2 Mercedes. When I return, made in America. It's a thing, and there's news. Next, this is RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester.
RoadWorthyDrive.com is the place to keep up with the latest happenings with Ken and the show.
I hope when they're doing this, they're actually doing these tests on open roads without street lights, without street lights. Because here's my thing. If I live in town, if I live in city, and yeah, I might travel once or twice, but I'm generally living in a populated area.
Right.
I'm not going to need the same kind of headlight material as someone.
Actually, you are, because that's a misnomer, and I've seen a lot of people. The biggest problem we have right now is with this advent of automatic headlights
Yes.
and ultra bright daytime running lights.
Yes.
People are either not have their headlight device set to automatic,
Yep.
so they're not coming on, and they think that their daytime running lights are their headlights.
Yep.
And are going in the dark in the city. That's a problem.
Yes, it is.
Trust me. These folks review the kind of stuff in town, out of town, country road, whatever. They're thorough.
Okay.
They're thorough. And it's unusual to note they're filling the gap where the government isn't.
I know that's right.
And that's true. And let's face one thing: on the truck that I had and my new truck, first thing I did when I got into either vehicle, when I bought them, I turned the headlights straight to automatic.
Right.
Wanted that done. What I didn't realize till I actually saw it happen was the second I turned the wipers on, the headlights come on.
Mm-hmm. Because in some states, that's the law.
Yeah, well, in this state, it's the law.
So,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a law.
Yeah, and a lot of times, daytime running lights had been the law for years in Canada. It's
Right.
not the law here, but it's a safety feature so people can see you.
Yep.
Right.
The big problem we've got, as daytime running lights got brighter, people coming towards you think you got your high beams on.
Yep.
Excuse me. That was the problem when you said blue lights. The xenon high-intensity discharge lights give a blue a blue-ish
Hue.
colors, which gives you a brighter, clearer path to the road,
Yep.
but did cause problems. The LEDs are as bright, but not as much as a problem. You, sir, have our jingle set.
Yes, sir. And
Okay, we're 9 minutes.
And may I say,
Yes.
you're making my heart grow fond every time I hear that man's voice.
Which
The
man?
one coming up.
Oh. Okay.
Because back in the day when I was growing up as a kid,
Mhm.
I thought his commercials were probably the most frank,
Oh, they were brutally honest.
and literally it was. I'm calling it the way I see it.
Yeah. There's history behind that.
Oh, yes, there
Unfortunately,
is.
I know the history behind that. It's not all pretty.
No, it's not.
Did you want to educate? Because I don't know the history of it. Sorry.
You don't, but
Hang on.
it'll be for another time.
Let me play it first, and then we'll try.
Okay.
Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
A lot of people think America can't cut the mustard anymore, that quality counts for nothing and hard work for even less, and commitment, that went out with a hula hoop. Well, when you've been kicked in the head like we have, you learn pretty quick to put first things first. And in the car business, product comes first. And product is what brought us back to prosperity. High mileage, front-wheel drive, quality products. By the way, with the best safety recall record over the last two full model years of any American cars. Convertibles, they said nobody wanted, but everybody copied. Sports cars and luxury cars with turbos so powerful, so efficient, you'll never go back to a V8 again. And a wagon so versatile, so right for America today, we can't build enough of them. Not bad for a company that had one foot in the grave. Today, every man and woman at Chrysler has a commitment to build cars that will take on the best. We will build 2 sedans this fall, LeBaron GTS and Dodge Lancer, that will challenge BMW, Audi, even Mercedes for thousands less. And next year, we will build a small car right here in America with quality that we're determined will beat the Japanese at their own game. And we will build the best-backed American cars with 5-year or 50,000-mile protection. Quality, hard work, commitment. The stuff America was made of. Without them, there is no future. I have one and only one ambition for Chrysler, to be the best. What else is there?
We at Chrysler pay our loans the old-fashioned way. We pay them back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lee Iacocca, Detroit Economic Luncheon, 1983. The government money that they borrowed, they paid back 7 years early. Yeah. We at Chrysler borrow money the old-fashioned way. We pay it back.
That is extremely old-fashioned, yes.
Well, and not only that too, but you got to admit, anybody that was growing up at that time or watching those commercials will tell you that Lee Iacocca was brutally honest.
Considering where he came from, which was from Ford,
Yep.
No, but
got fired by Henry II, and got to run the car company he wanted to run. He originally wanted to run the Ford Motor Company. I'll be polite, but it didn't end well. If you're just wondering what you walked into, welcome to segment 2 of this hour of RoadWorthy Drive. I'm Ken Chester, and it ties right into what I want to talk about, Made in America. Now, the company that evolved from the new Chrysler Corporation is now known as Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, LLC.
Correct.
And I'm going to be honest, I've been hard on them. I've been very hard on them as of late. But I have news.
Okay.
I have news. And I want to be clear about the news. Now, anyone that's been following this program for some time know how adamant I am about Made in America. And what you might not know, Sasha definitely doesn't know, is I actually, full disclaimer, I tried to go to work for Chrysler when I came out of college.
what?
It didn't happen, but I tried. I want to say that Fiat Chrysler is moving a plant from Mexico to the United States. They're spending $1 billion to modernize their Warren truck assembly plant, which is right off of 8 Mile in Warren, Michigan.
Okay, now is that plant in operation right now, or was
Yes,
that
it
shut
is.
down?
No. It's in operation.
Okay.
But what they're doing, they're going to move the production of heavy trucks, of their 4,500 and 5,500 heavy-duty pickups from Mexico, from their plant in Mexico to Warren. They're going to take the half tons, which they were building at Warren, over to Sterling Heights, which used to build the Dodge Dart. Used to build the Chrysler 200.
Okay.
The Dart was built in Belvedere.
Yep.
Money. This will happen by 2020. Now, before everybody gets happy about this thing, let me also remind you this. This is straight from the union.
Okay.
The UAW has had an ongoing dialogue with FCA dating back prior to 2015 negotiations about the trucks moving back to U.S. production from Mexico and the additional jobs that come with it. I just want to be clear. In the car business, you don't move this kind of stuff on a whim just because somebody says you should.
Since 2015.
Yeah.
Wow.
This kind of stuff gets negotiated in union contracts, people.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen. You can't. There's billions of dollars. There's lead times. All of this stuff's going to be negotiated. And at the end of the day, it still has to make sense.
And let's face
Business
one
is
thing.
business, people.
And let's face one thing.
Mm-hmm.
How long is it going to take them to modernize that plant where they need it to be?
They will have it up and running for 2020.
2020.
Okay, so are you saying 2019 for the 2020 model year? Okay.
More than likely. It's going to add 2,500 jobs.
Yeah.
That's a good piece.
Yep. But I am not done yet.
What?
But wait, there's more.
Oh, there is. Just really quickly, they spent $350 million at Belvedere, created 300 jobs, 700 new jobs, and $700 million at Toledo in Ohio. $1.5 billion Sterling Heights Assembly Plant to build the 2019 1500 Ram. $1 billion in the South Plant of Toledo Assembly to build that all-new Jeep pickup truck. Yeah. And, part of that money at Warren Truck Plant is going to also build a new Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. Just saying.
Okay,
Wait.
now.
Yeah, we just made news. Yeah. That is Chrysler's announcement, by the way, their press release.
Okay, here's my question.
Yeah.
When is the Jeep pickup coming out?
Thank you.
Probably 2020.
Okay, so you're thinking that all of this stuff that's going to happen is going to come out in 2020.
I would say you will see it in the next 3 to 4 years, gradually, depending.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm not done. You remember the conversation we were having, and everybody got excited in our home state right here because Toyota and Mazda were looking for a plant.
Yep.
Yes.
And I told you then, no
Yep.
way, no how.
No way, no how.
Uh-huh. I got a word for you.
Yes, sir.
Alabama.
What?
Huntsville.
It went to Alabama.
Yeah, you know why?
Why?
Because 14 miles away from where they're going to build this plant is their largest engine plant in the world that employs 1,600. Remember I told you it was going to take infrastructure to do it?
Yep.
And the nearness of suppliers. If you're going to build a Toyota Corolla, you're going to be really conscious about price. Price means transportation, building a supplier base. All that had to be there. And what did Alabama and the city of Huntsville together give them?
I have no idea.
$700 million.
Oh, that helps too.
Can I just
To spend $1.6 billion, and when this thing is online by 2021, they will employ 4,000 people. In the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Wait a minute. Stop. That 4,000, is that 4,000 new jobs?
Yes.
Or total?
No.
Okay.
New.
Wow.
They already employ 1,600 in that engine plant.
Wow.
And may I quote, Toyota already has major parts making operations in Alabama and builds cars in several U.S. assembly plants. Yeah. Infrastructure in Alabama? Yeah. 57,000 people.
Total?
Yeah. Man, that's not just Toyota. That's plants and everything. But again, infrastructure, people. And that's all I got to say about that.
Well,
I'm not surprised.
At one point in time, on one of the corners on one of the main east-west streets here, they were going to build a Saturn plant back in the either late 80s,
Late 80s.
or late 80s, early 90s.
Same issue. Infrastructure.
And they wouldn't give them what they wanted.
Well, that's it. When we come back, look, Ma, no hands. GM asked the Department of Transportation to do away with manual controls in their cars, and that's next. RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester is heard exclusively on the RoadWorthy Drive radio network.
You're listening to RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester on the RoadWorthy Drive radio network.
I bet I'd beat up on Daimler Chrysler. I'm doing it now. Fiat Chrysler for a while. And I thought it was time to cut them a break.
I am super duper, oh my goshly excited for the pickup, the Jeep pickup, and the Wagoneer.
And here's the problem.
Fond memories.
And here's the problem.
Oh, no.
Not enough for them to survive.
No, I know, but I'm hoping that
And
some people
I would not
buy
be
it.
surprised if the announcement out of Detroit is a Japanese company either is going to buy Jeep and Ram or swallow the whole company. I'm hoping they take the whole company because if they don't, there are going to be lawsuits from dealers. If you've got Dodge, if you've got Fiat, if you've got Alfa Romeo, you've got Chrysler, what are you going to do? Yeah. They haven't put any money in it. Yep. You take the trucks away, they got no cash. Because right now, everybody's buying SUVs, crossovers, and trucks. The Dodge Journey hasn't been updated since it came out almost 10 years ago.
They need to leave that thing alone.
It was great when it came out, but they haven't put any money in it.
Yep.
Now, the Durango's been upgraded, but the Durango rides on the same chassis as the Grand Cherokee. What happens if they sell Jeep and Ram? What happens to the Durango? Do they make it under contract?
Yeah.
Like PSA is doing for Buick right now?
Right.
Overseas in the Cascada, which is now no longer made by a GM subsidiary?
You just don't know. I mean, there's all these things behind the curtain that, I mean,
I'm just saying.
I'm still waiting because I am super excited to see that Wagoneer.
We'll see.
And it's funny because where I live, there's actually somebody that owns and drives
an older Wagoneer.
An older Jeep pickup.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've got pictures of it, and I posted on my Facebook last summer because I was like, oh my gosh, and it looks in beautiful condition.
By the way.
Yes, sir.
Down at the bottom of my street. I about had a heart attack.
A herd
of cattle. We don't want that. Heart attacks aren't good.
Either late 1970s or early 1980s. AMC Eagle.
No way.
With current license plates on it.
Okay.
And how was it looking? Like, was it?
Oh, it looked fine. I mean, I didn't really get that close to look at it.
It was built by the tough Americans. Thank you very much.
Shush your face.
That's what they said. More tough talk from the tough Americans. I'll have you know.
I noticed that he was saying his A's in a certain way that you say his A's. So where was he from? Where is he from?
Out east.
Lee Iacocca went to engineering school in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. He went to work in a Ford plant there. Met his wife, who was secretary at the plant, his first wife. Stayed in engineering 1 year, went to sales. Lee's first claim to fame was a very successful plan with Ford Motor Company, a 56 for 56. Own a 56 Ford for $56 a month.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's ingenious.
And he, depending on who you talk to, they would allege that Lee was the father of the Mustang. Depends who you talk to.
I was just...
But he bet big. They actually dedicated 4 assembly plants to that thing. And it set a record. Guess what Ford car beat the Mustang record?
I don't know.
The last vehicle you'd expect, the 1978 Ford Fairmont.
What?
The Fairmont?
The Fairmont? No.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God.
Stop.
The Fairmont.
Stop it.
400,000 units, year one.
Well, but again, that car was a pile.
You know what? It ran. I've driven them.
I know it ran.
But
we
a lot of late 70s
my
cars were a
my brother-in-law
pile.
and sister owned one. I know it. I know that car back and forth.
My father
I do too.
ran one, yeah.
So,
Okay, people,
we ready?
third segment.
Let's go.
Let's play nice.
We always play nice. What are you
Play
talking
nice.
Don't play even, just play nice. Okay, when you're ready, boss. This is the third segment of this hour of RoadWorthy Drive. I'm Ken Chester. Thank you for dropping in. For those of you who want or need more than your fair share of the road, check out the show website. That is www.roadworthydrive.com. There, find video clips of our behind-the-scenes antics and mayhem. Yes, as we produce the show in studio. You can also listen to audio clips of past shows and more. The website's also a great place to discover where to find us in the social media universe. Sasha is our social media diva, and I use the word diva on purpose. She keeps things light and lively during the week as she shares her discoveries of notable and quotable news items of automotive interest. See how she keeps the social in our social media. You'll be glad you did.
Okay, wait a minute. I thought you and I banned Mayhem from the studio.
Okay, but he gave me chocolate chip cookies.
Mayhem? Yeah, that would do that.
No,
Isn't he with Allstate or something?
Yes, he is.
However,
I was trying not to use a product name. Hello.
Oh, I see. Well, he hangs out who he hangs out with. What can I say?
Move along.
And occasionally, he's here. All right, people. Look, Ma. No hands.
I will never buy another GM vehicle again.
Oh, now stop
You play
it.
like you bought one before.
Actually, he has.
Oh, that's right, because you had the
Yeah,
the
when
truck.
I've had a Chevy truck. I've had a Chevy conversion van too.
And you know what? He'll get over it.
I know he will.
He will. GM is going full speed in the autonomous vehicle space with their application before the U.S. Department of Transportation to eliminate all the manual controls for an upcoming production vehicle that they are already tooled up to build. Jack?
Yeah.
I told you this was coming.
I know you told me this was coming. I'm in denial. It's a river in Egypt.
I've been telling you this for some time, sir, that this was coming.
I know.
And I told you GM was going to do it in 2018, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
This would have been a nice moment to cue up that country song, I Told You So.
Yeah, I know.
No, but we're okay. No. But let's talk about this for a minute. All right, first of all, to calm Jack down a little bit, it's not everything, okay? It's not the truck.
It's just the important parts.
Okay, hold on, you. GM's Cruise Automation Unit has announced plans to carry passengers in self-driving cars that won't have a backup driver in 2019. The location of the service has not yet been revealed. GM and other companies have tested autonomous cars on the road, yet their vehicles typically have an engineer behind the wheel because, you need an engineer behind the wheel.
Right now, yes.
Ready to take over, in the case the need arises. Reading, ready.
Writing, arithmetic. We don't know.
Yeah, the 3 R's. Now, the head of GM's Cruise Automation actually said this. What's really special about this is that if you look back 20 years from now, it's the first car without steering wheels and pedals. He said it. Let's forget the order we talked about from Uber to Volvo for autonomous vehicles.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we reported on that.
Yep.
Because, we like to keep our listeners up to date on stuff.
Well, I understand that Uber made the order, but were the Volvo vehicles going to have...
The Volvo SC90, which it's based on,
Right.
and the SC40, which is coming out, were both developed with full autonomy in mind.
Right, but did they have the steering wheel and the pedals?
Good question. I believe the XC90 will.
Right.
I am not so sure about the XC40 in autonomous mode.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe it's one of these that when you go autonomous, it disappears in the dashboard.
That would be cool. That would be wicked
Actually, a number of years ago, I believe, what company was it that actually showed that? I want to say it was one of the tech companies. And I can't think of them now.
Yeah.
That actually showed a car that
Google?
No, it wasn't Google. It begins with C. I can't remember which one. But it's okay.
Okay.
It's not that critical. The thing I really want to talk about, GM didn't just bust out and make that statement. And for the record, the vehicle they're talking about is a Chevy Bolt EV, which they've renamed it now the Cruise AV.
Wait, what?
Letters.
Okay.
The Bolt with a B.
They were getting confused with Volt with a V.
No.
Yeah.
Like that, they didn't
Bolt
see that
as
coming.
in screw, as in Bolt with a B,
Uh-huh.
EV, the new one, which was built from the ground up to be fully autonomous.
Right.
And fully electric. Now, they show a picture, and you may have seen it, I didn't think that the interior was all that creative.
Yeah, I didn't like
Honestly,
it either.
I thought they could have went a little further with that. But basically, it's an interior without the stuff, but not really reimagined. Basically, if you think of the inside of the vehicle, take away the dash, take away your readouts, your steering wheel, your brake, all of that. Basically, the left side where the driver is looks like the right side where the passenger is, with a center pod.
And they've even got, like, even the driver's side, it's just, it's the
okay.
driver's side.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, I guess I would have liked something like with the conversion van where the seats would turn around.
Where
And-
the seats would swivel.
Right,
Yeah.
where the seats would swivel. I would have liked something that was a little bit more.
Two companies that are a little bit more creative than this, but
Right.
again, these were prototypes.
Yep.
Mercedes Vision
Yes.
2030
Yes.
that came out a couple of years ago was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
SEMA, Kia took a stab at it in their Kia Soul
Yes.
for an autonomous. I got pictures of that. That was kind of cool.
Yep.
And I think what you're seeing, I mean, these are first stabs. And I think as we get into autonomous and then we go into the next level of actually designing an interior that reflects autonomous once the newness wears off of autonomy, then they'll concentrate on the interior experience where we're not at.
Okay, the one thing looking at that picture that I guess that I would want on the driver's side or the passenger side, either one,
Okay.
a way that you could pull something out of the dash that would allow you to set a laptop up there so you could do your work.
See, yeah. I mean, that's
But
easy.
but hold on. Here's the issue. We've got laws and federal safety standards that are lagging behind autonomy. Even with an autonomous car, right now, until those standards change, there's certain safety features, passive protection features, that still have to be built into these cars until Congress says different.
And probably the airbag is the biggest thing holding you back from being able to do that.
Now, the thing is, GM put out this big, long, 30-page treatise about the extent to which they went and developed this car.
Wow.
And they went into everything, even cybersecurity, everything.
Wow.
It's not just, gee, we developed the car and threw some stuff on it, now it's autonomous. No. No. They went and in the DNA of this vehicle, in any system, autonomy, cybersecurity, crash protection, anti-hacking, all of this. In other words, they were listening to Jack again.
Right.
And they were concerned
Well, I
because
mean,
Jack would have
how
a
many
fit.
people do have Jack's fears and Jack's concerns about the autonomous future? I mean, even I, who am readily willing, take my car, I will gladly go autonomous today. Let me have it. Even I have concerns about my security, about my personal privacy.
Here's the problem.
Really quick.
This reminds me of Alexa reminds me of 1984.
Yes.
The George Orwell. book.
Yes.
Okay. Because if they can record every single conversation I'm having, I have a problem.
Okay, but we ain't talking about Alexa in this.
I understand that.
So we'll get there. For the final segment, electric versus gasoline, cost savings or unfair advantage. You're riding along with Ken and RoadWorthy Drive.
This is RoadWorthy Drive.
General Motors has, this is their whole report just on the Cruise AV, and to the extent in every single system, what they did, how they got there, the redundancies they built in, the crash protection they built in, how the thing thinks, how the thing responds. It is really an incredible piece of work. I'm trying to find the title of this because if you're concerned, regardless of how you feel about autonomous vehicles, this is worth a read. I'm going to leave you with two things. GM's vision, and I quote, "At General Motors, we envision a future with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion." Their mission, General Motors' mission, is to bring our vision of the world of zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion to life. Safely developing and deploying electric self-driving vehicles at scale will dramatically change our world. Amen. Amen is mine. It's worth reading this. It's worth reading this. If you Google Cruise AV, You should be able to find this document. It's worth reading because it goes into so much more than we have time to talk about. I could do a whole show on everything they got here.
Well, here's
getting off into the weeds. One thing that I dug in and I highlighted because I thought about Jack. Systems diversity and redundancy. And they go into quite a bit. Every system, be it a sensor, be it an electric motor, everything has redundancy. Everything. That if one fails, the other one steps in. If two fails, there's a fail-safe for that. Basic, even if the thing gets hit, there's a fail-safe for that. If you're blind or infirm, there's a fail-safe for that. I mean, I won't say they thought of everything. That would be naive. But they've gone as far as they can. And the beautiful part, they've got dedicated fleets that are still learning. For you Trekkies out there, think Borg, and you ain't too far off.
I got that. I got that reference.
It's literally the Borg Collective.
I know that's
if
right.
If one learns, they all learn.
They all learn.
And here in our state, one of the tests they're doing, and really is that here in Iowa, where they're talking about the 380 corridor of making information available so that if one car picks it up, it goes into the system and everybody knows it.
Yep.
GM is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the things.
So, yeah.
Hold on, Jack.
Yeah.
The next segment, it's going to be electric versus gasoline. Which one do you think is going to be the cheapest to own?
I'll answer that question when we get to it.
Oh, come on. No. Come on.
I'm answering the question when we get to it because we got to go.
That a girl. Hold on. Give me a minute here.
But my other thing is that I think that the reason why they're getting so detailed when they're actually laying out that plan is because there's a lot of buyers, there's a lot of consumers out there that have these fears, and they're legitimate fears. They're legitimate concerns about the new
But you realize that listeners to this program have already been better educated as to what's going on.
Exactly. And we give them the tools so that way they can address those concerns. They do have a place. They do have a plan. They do have a way to educate themselves and to prepare themselves for what's coming. Maybe somebody that's thinking about, what they're going to buy their oldest kid or something like that, or somebody that's going to be going in those years, now they're a little bit more susceptible to what's going to be coming out in literally just 2 years.
Okay, but I'm going to go back to the same thing we discussed in the last show that we did. When we talked about the drone thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All this technology is great, guys. I'm not going to argue that. I mean, I benefit from technology every single day. Right. However, put in the wrong hands, you're going to have some issues. And that's why I'm objecting 100 Ways from Sunday about Alexa and what Amazon's doing.
Well, that's like when we were talking about, when I was talking about that cool little luggage thing that would follow me. And I was like R2-D2, and you guys were like, but it could be a bomb. Yes,
it could get snatched, too.
Anything in today's world in the wrong hands could be used the wrong way. I mean, if MacGyver had been a bad guy.
Here she goes with the MacGyver reference.
Dude,
again.
I love MacGyver. But if MacGyver had been a bad guy, no one would be able to stop him.
That's true. Okay.
Give
me
go.
For MacGyver.
8 minutes, 50 seconds.
Here, hold on. 8:50. Hold on.
You got 15 seconds to swallow. Go. Wow.
Where is the love?
Again, if we didn't love what we do here, this would be work, and this ain't work.
Okay.
This is not work.
Obviously. Okay, let's do it.
You ready? Here we go.
Welcome to the fourth and final segment of this hour of RoadWorthy Drive. I'm Ken Chester. It's no secret that here on RoadWorthy Drive, we've spent a lot of time talking about alternatively fueled vehicles, with electrics in general and battery electrics in particular taking the lion's share of the conversation and, of course, the debate. And there's been much debate.
Much debate.
Much debate. We have followed the falling prices of battery storage capacity and how it figured into the overall cost. But here's a question, and I think it's an honest one. Where does that stand relative to gasoline prices? For a number of years now, advances in technology have succeeded at making American producers more and more efficient, to the point where the United States is actually now an exporter of both natural gas and lightly processed petroleum products. We actually export stuff outside the country.
Yep.
There's always been a small but vocal group that demands that the actual cost of producing the electricity that recharges the battery electric car be included in the calculation. Well, I did a little research into that, and here's what I learned.
Go ahead.
We often go to surveys that are done by the University of Michigan. They put out a lot of good automotive subject surveys.
That are not bought for one side or the other.
And this one's no exception. This study, we're going to start with the study, but I actually went deep because I wanted to find out, and I ended up stumbling across the different fuels used in the United States to generate electricity.
Okay.
Everything from nuclear power
To coal.
oil to coal.
Okay.
And we'll get
gas.
natural gas,
Water.
and hydroelectric, and a few other interesting things.
Solar.
Wind, solar, all apart.
Okay.
And we'll get back to that in a moment because it was I learned something that blew my socks off about coal I didn't know.
Do we need to be prepared for your socks falling off this?
Probably, because I went, what?
Air freshener.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Here's the thing. Based on 15,000 miles a year,
Okay.
they looked state by state, and it boils down to this. The current average annual cost of driving a typical new gasoline vehicle in the United States, now they're using the average that they've calculated, which is a little over 25 miles a gallon is the average of the fleet.
Okay. All right.
Is $1,117 a year, national average. From a high of $1,509 in Hawaii to a low of $993 in Alabama. Now, hold on to your socks. The current average annual cost of driving a new battery electric vehicle in the United States is $485 a year, with a maximum of $1,106 in Hawaii and a minimum of $367 in Louisiana.
Rest my case.
Hold on.
We're stuck.
The required fuel economy that gasoline vehicles would need to exceed for driving them to be less than driving a battery electric nationally, you have to be getting 57.6 miles to the gallon. In the United States, with a maximum of 90 miles to the gallon in Washington State and a minimum of 34.1 miles to the gallon in Hawaii.
Okay. For those of you that didn't see this, because you can't see Sasha, she just basically took a bottle of water, held it out, dropped it like she did a mic drop just to get a reaction out of the producer.
Well, see, the producer has prohibited us from dropping mics.
Oh,
it is a jailable offense in the studio.
Yes, and I was actually a friend of mine. She was like, and I dropped the mic. I was like, don't do that. They're too expensive.
No kidding.
But here's the thing. Now, that led to a question that said, okay, the counter argument is, yeah, but you're not calculating the cost and the pollution that comes with the plant that produced it. I'm like, hold on a minute.
Wait, the plant that produced it?
The electric.
The electricity.
Because you're going to have pollution with natural gas. You got pollution with
coal. So in other words,
but
if you look at,
you also include the plant that produces the gas, the combustion engine vehicles?
But it already is.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you've got that already wrapped up in the emissions and all of that.
I see what you're saying. Yes. Okay.
Now, bombshell, okay? Let me get to this thing. Oh, and our state is kind of in the middle.
I figured, yeah.
Annual cost for gasoline, $1,084.
Okay.
Electricity cost, $456, which is about national average. Required equal, a car in our state would have to get 59.4 miles to the gallon to equal. Now, let me say this, and let me bring your memory back. Because right now, the EPA has not watered down their 2025 standard yet.
Right.
That standard requires the corporate average fuel economy of domestic fleets sold in the United States to be 54.5 miles to the gallon.
Yep.
Yep.
Little over double what it is now.
Yep.
Let that settle a minute.
Yeah.
Even at double, even if they meet the standard,
It's
in
still-
most states, it's still cheaper to drive an electric car.
Yep. Boom.
I dropped something, but I might get
You
crucified.
wanna borrow it?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Because it's worth doing it again.
I know. And she's doing it again. That leads a question. Coal. As of 2014, coal power in the United States accounted for 39% of the country's electricity production.
Okay.
Largest place where coal is mined?
West Virginia.
No, they're number 2.
Where?
Powder River Basin, Wyoming.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that.
And wait a minute. Here's the part that blew my socks off.
Getting
warning.
out of the line of fire.
Yeah, get out of the line of fire. That coal in Powder River is owned by the federal government.
Stop.
Really?
And
Stop.
we're giving the producers $8 a ton credit for every ton they produce. They're the number 1 producer of coal in the United States.
Stop.
Well, yeah.
40% of the coal that gets burned in a power plant comes from Powder River out of 2 railroads that carry it.
Yep.
The Union Pacific and the Burlington Northern.
Yep.
And a lot of those trains come this way.
Yeah, a lot of them come through our state.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, here's the thing. Coal, as a percentage, continues to fall.
Yeah.
And will. So even if you are currently living in a place where you've got coal-fired plants generating your electricity, those plants are being retired, and a whole bunch of them got retired back in 2016.
I thought
replaced
so.
with natural gas
Right.
of anything. So even if you just, regardless where you live, buying an electric vehicle, even in a few years, will even be cleaner than it is now, as coal continues to lose popularity because of what it costs to clean it, mine it, transport it, burn it. So there you go. Cheaper. And we never did find out from Jack what his preference was. But in any case, another hour is come and gone. Be sure to tune in next time we do it all again. On behalf of the RoadWorthy Drive team, thanks for listening. You've been listening to RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester.
RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester is a copyrighted presentation of the RoadWorthy Drive Radio Network. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use is prohibited without the written consent of the Motor News Media Corporation.
Couple of things. The top 3 fuels that are used to produce electricity in the United States: coal, natural gas, and number 3, care to guess?
Hydrogen or hydro.
No.
Solar.
No.
No.
Nuclear.
Really?
Really. Here's another bombshell for you. Our beloved state, Iowa, produces 1/3 of our electricity from them wind farms we see.
Yep.
Did I mention?
Is it worth that annoying red blinking light, though?
Yeah. Across the nation, right now, we're number 1.
Really?
Texas is number 2, I believe.
Actually, no.
Who's number 2?
Actually, and let me find it, because I was just looking at that, and I thought they were too.
Now, while you're looking
But
for that,
hold on,
I
let me
need to
find
make
that.
sure, when you were taking in the cost to own an electric vehicle, that also included the cost of charging the electric vehicle.
Pennies. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That's
because
what
I
that
talked to
electrical
people,
charge.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh, that made her house, her electric bill skyrocket to over $2,000."
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
The biggest concern that I have is the average age of the houses in the United States probably have an electrical system that has not been updated. And granted, this is only pennies, but nobody's told me how many amps does it pull to charge that car.
Let me help you with that. I can answer those questions.
If I'm running everything else in my house plus charging my car, am I going to create an electrical fire?
No.
Okay, but that...
But hold on, because I can answer this. I've actually charged vehicles at home in my garage.
Yep.
The pull ain't that much. I think maybe 6 amps, tops. Typically, people, they say, we'll charge at night. That's what I did. So no big deal on the electrical grid.
Right.
And even with all these vehicles coming, typically, and we've talked about that here, companies, electrical companies, looking at going to demand pricing.
Yeah.
Which will also help. Plus, also what we talked about here is battery systems to the point that could actually sell power back into the grid, or at the very least, back into your house.
Good point.
Yeah, but the whole house fire thing, that's just about as true as
That's bogus.
The poor family that they haven't been able to replace their clunker in like 22 years, and
Right.
it's barely making it down the road, and I'm driving my vehicle, and all of a sudden their brakes go out. You know, I mean, that's kind of the thing. I mean, I get it that people are like, oh, the electric car, oh, but if they've got old tube and wiring in their house, then plugging in a new Keurig could cause an electrical fire.
Well,
Hey,
exactly.
leave my Keurig alone, by the way. Well, folks, on that note, we will continue to monitor this. I'm sure the conversation isn't over, but we wanted to equip you with some facts as opposed to the untruths that you may be hearing. On behalf of Jack, Sasha, and myself, we thank you for watching. Look for us next week about the same time when we do it all again. For RoadWorthy Drive, we'll see you later. Bye now.
See ya.
Bye.